Good morning and happy Sunday, and welcome to the Fantasy Football Podcast presented by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I'm hosting this morning. I am Justin Bruni. I'm joined by Emerson Beery and Gary Van Dyke, the IDP hipster, clocking in. We're going to have more guests coming in this morning. I know Dave Heilman's going to be on. We're going to be talking some Dynasty with him. Sebastian Fioran will be on. We'll be asking him about some injuries this week 9. Gary, we're going to break into him with some IDP content, and Emerson's going to give us some of his battle royale locks for the day. How are we doing this morning, gentlemen? Happy Sunday.
Doing Beautiful. Fabulous. Ready to get started here. It's been a long week, but cranking out some articles. Been working since I got back in town on Sunday, so it's been a good week, but ready to relax on Sunday for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Gary? What are you up to today?
I actually relaxed, the last 2 days. So my day or my week for fantasy kicked off about 5 a.m. this morning.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's early.
Friday and Saturday are my free days. So, hey, this is just an added bonus. I'm happy to be here.
Love it. Did you take advantage of that extra hour of sleep with the 5 a.m. get up?
Didn't even notice.
Didn't even notice.
That's what I said.
Didn't even notice. Extra hour of what? I don't need that.
Right.
Sleep. What is sleep?
Yeah.
All right. Before we get going here, we're going to go into just some injury updates. Guys that are expected to play, ruled out, game time decisions. I'm going to roll through the not expected to play and the ruled out. Emerson's going to take the game time decisions and expected to play, and we'll go off some fantasy plays off of this. So not expected to play today: Damian Harris, Darren Waller, Josh Reynolds, Mark Andrews, and Gus Edwards. That's tomorrow night. That's a Monday night game, but most potentially out for week 9. And Mark Ingram for the Saints. Ruled out today. These are going to be where the key plays are coming in. We've got Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Chuba Hubbard, Jahan Dotson, Corey Davis, J.D. McKissick, Devontae Parker, Russell Gage, and Cameron Brate. Where are we at with the game time decisions, Emerson?
Justin, you mind going through those? I don't think you actually sent me our little stat sheet today.
It's in the private chat, but yeah, that's all right. I got you. So the game time decisions, we've got Allen Lazard, James Robinson, Christian Watson, Brock Wright. That's the tight end for Detroit. If you guys weren't paying attention this week, Hawkinson traded to the Vikings. Ryan Tannehill for the Titans, and Jarvis Landry for the Saints. And then expected to play today, kind of a surprise for me on this one, is DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Carter for the Chargers. He was looking like he was going to be a plus option this week with Williams and Keenan out, but he came down with an illness, but expected to play. And then we've got James Conner, who is also expected to play today. I guess we'll start with these expected to plays. Are you guys willing to fire up any DeAndre Swift this week?
Me? Yeah. I mean, it's just if you have him, it's probably, unless you're in a redraft where you're starting like 2 running backs and 1 flex, you might have some better options there. But in most leagues, if it's a little bit deeper than that, especially dynasty leagues, you'll probably be starting him. I don't feel that great about it. He'll still be, when I do my last rankings update here, I will probably, if he does play, I'll probably slot him somewhere in that mid-tier RB2 range, somewhere maybe around RB 16 to 20. I'll have to look a little bit more closely, but him and Jamal Williams will probably be close to back-to-back for me. Jamal Williams is more likely to probably get that touchdown. Swift, it's his 3rd year. We're looking for something here, man. I'm just hoping that we can get a healthy stretch of games out of him at the end of the year.
Absolutely. What do you think, Gary?
I have no shares of him. I don't think I'd be going to reach there this week. No, not if I don't have to. I agree with mainly what Emerson had to say. You're asking me to talk about Dirty O, folks? Good luck. We'll try.
I like it. Well, hey, with fantasy, you're playing both sides when you're playing IDP, right? So
right, but that's what I leave that professionals. I leave it up to the professionals. Ask my friends. I hear you. I'm 100% IDP, man. So
I hear you.
Realistically,
I am sitting DeAndre Swift this week if I can afford it. Yeah, absolutely. There's 6 teams off this week. If you don't have the extra roster spot, if it's between him and Jeff Wilson Jr., I guess I'm throwing out DeAndre Swift. If that's all you're left with, then that's what you're left with. So I wouldn't feel very good starting him this week. I do not expect him to get a touchdown. I'm probably expecting pretty similar production to last week, where I think he had around like 8 or 9 touches for less than 50 total yards. Wasn't very good.
Yeah, that's what I would expect. We're just hoping he gets a few receptions today. If it packs up, 4 to 6 catches in there, and then that could make him put him in startable range. But it's hard for him with Jamal Williams vulturing every touchdown.
Right, and that's what I was going to ask you, Emerson. Like, is Williams a big enough asset potentially in this game with Swift there, where you're willing to dive into to the battle royale conversation, but this might be a low percentage type of play I want to run with Jamal Williams.
I would take, Jamal Williams would be a solid play in that 5th and 6th round range. I like to, my concern in just a battle royale would be that we're looking for really high upside outcomes. You're essentially looking for a perfect lineup.
Right.
Because that's shallow. It's a 6-person draft with 6 players in each, so 36 players drafted. Jamal Williams, definitely get some shares in the 5th or 6th round if you're doing multiple drafts. But usually I'm looking for a little bit more of a higher ceiling play.
Okay. And then let's talk about James Conner and Eno Benjamin. Are you guys willing to roll out either of those guys? Because I feel like they're both going to be eating into each other's workloads. I would be on the Eno side of things, from a comfort and trust standpoint. Would you guys be willing to roll out James Conner this week? And does James Conner coming back kind of, keep Eno Benjamin from that upper echelon that you're talking about, Emerson, of having that boom opportunity in week 9?
I think these guys are going to cap each other a little bit this week. I think you'll kind of see a little bit of a rotation. If I had to lean one, I would lean James Conner just because of Eno Benjamin's just been okay. And especially last week he's been, he's had a good gamer here, but I would expect I would have a slight preference toward James Conner just because I think they'll work him in a little bit more. But I think they'll be pretty close in my rankings as well, and I expect it to be probably a committee backfield today.
All right, right on. What do you think, Gary?
I have no arguments.
All right. All right. Sounds good. So let's move on to some of the ruled outs. Are we doing anything with Deion Jackson this week? Anything in particular? DFS, battle royales, anything in particular? I love him as a start this week. I'm loaded up with him quite a bit. He was someone that I had taxi squad, someone that I picked up in FOB this week. A lot of people are on him to perform.
I actually got lucky. I listened to Dave back when he was telling everybody real early to pick him up because I'm in the Scott Fish Bowl. And just like last year, my second year back into Superflex, I suck. So no IDP, no nothing. I have no crutch. So when it really boiled down to it, Dave saved my ass. I got him in there this week. I mean, it was perfect.
He was someone that I got this week, and I immediately got trade offers for him. It was crazy.
Right. I benefited from it, 2 weeks ago when Taylor was out. So, like I said, I had him I believe I had him on there for like a week, maybe 4 or 5 days or something. I've seen our Mr. Dave will be coming on, I suppose. Seen his post on Twitter.
Right on.
I already knew Dave. I've known Dave for years, so I pay attention.
What do you think, Emerson?
Yeah, Deion Jackson, he'll slide into. He might even. It's as crazy it is to see him. And Deion Jackson might have a better outlook than Jonathan Taylor would if both of them played, because he's going to get most of the workload today. He'll slot in. I think when I put him in, when I expected John, I was messing with my rankings last night that I haven't published yet. I think I was slotting him as RB18 if I remember correctly. I haven't changed it yet. But yeah, he'll be a mid-tier RB2 for me. Like I said, he's been fantastic in limited opportunities this season. So it's just crazy to me that we're at with Jonathan Taylor, and it's almost has a better outlook for Deion Jackson than we do for Jonathan Taylor. So hopefully that changes soon. But I like Deion Jackson as a mid-tier RB2 this week.
Life moves pretty fast, especially in fantasy football. Once one year you're on top, the next year falling right back down the pecking order, and that's just the way things go. And it's not like you're supposed to say like, oh, you should have seen it coming. You do so great one year, and then you're going to revert. Like, it's just it's really not the established opinion, right? Like it's
right. We've had the same kind of year in fantasy football or in IDP. I mean, the standard's not been there. You had the thing with Leonard. Well, Watt's hurt again, but I mean, other than Roquan Smith and Devin White, neither's really been Nobody else has really been up there. There's been a lot of lackluster production come out of
Right.
the tier one guys, the upper tier one guys you would expect. So it's been an off year to begin with. And I think it's just the whole transition of the last few years coming together. I mean, defenses are changing so much too, just to counteract what the passing game the NFL has. I mean, it's
Right.
it's a different ball game than it was just a few years ago, which had already changed a lot too.
Well, yeah, I mean, they constantly are changing the rules, the downfield type of contact that we have. I mean, it's a very, very quarterback and wide receiver friendly league right now. It's
a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. We're just going through this transition, I think. I mean, it's good for business for both sides of the ball.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Players put up more stats, they make more money.
Yep.
NFL looks more entertaining. At least it's supposed to be. When we're seeing 10-7 first halves out of like half the games.
Right. It's even changed the type of personnel that's coming out of the college game. I mean, they're realistic. Your linebackers are trying to be defensive backs. Your defensive backs are trying to beef up to be linebackers. They all want to be Jeremy Chin and Xavier McKinney and those types of guys because that's the future of the game. Or pass rushers. I mean, that's right. Pass rushers have always been a star, but I mean, right now they're premium. They can set the pace of a game real quick, especially like these teams, like even Cincinnati, stacking 2 at a time. If you've got 2 above average guys, it's like Miami. You can't blame them for what they did.
Absolutely.
Somebody's going to start hitting home. They're both up there in pressures. They're just not connecting just yet. So, eventually they will. It's going to help them a lot, I think. Nice move lately.
Absolutely. I'd hope so. They spent a lot of money on Mr. Chubb. So,
yeah, I don't expect either one of them to like all of a sudden become Nick Bosa or JJ Watt, but I expect both of them to have an increase. Both of them will get a boost.
Bosa's kind of had a slower year too, hasn't he?
Yeah, but who do you compare to? I can't go Garrett because it's not the same.
He's on a bye this week, but I have him in one league where I have it's a pretty stacked IDP group. It's only like 4 plays, so it's Bosa, Roquan Smith, Dev White, and then I go back between Eddie Jackson and Jordan Poyer. The draft was last year, and it's like, man, I can't upgrade this whatsoever. So I just leave it sit. I don't sell any of those guys. I don't try to move it around.
I was just getting ready to say it's a set it forget it type of lineup.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Unless
and that's kind of hard these days.
It is, but we were mentioning the inequity in Dev White and Roquan this season. Like they haven't been like provided the production of years past. Like just like that booming consistency. All the big splash plays. They're just like there's these games where they're putting up 4 to 6 tackles, and I'm sitting there going like, "Hey, what happened?" It's 18, like what happened? Like
18 game seasons do. All these guys came into preseason, no playing time, and all this. So. Man, I don't know. Yeah, I guess we're going to ride this out though, because I wonder if it'll stick like this. Because I know what you're talking about. I see it. It's definitely there.
All right, let's go into some starter sits from some of these ruled outs. We'll come back to some more IDP talk here in a moment. With Chuba Hubbard out, and obviously D'Onta Foreman's already been playing very well. Let's talk about some D'Onta Foreman starter sits, guys. So if you have, let's say, and this is like standard, or not standard, but PPR it's pretty much the standard now. That's what I was about to say, but there's a standard scoring. So let's be clear here. I'm going to give you guys some starter sit options. First up, I'm going D'Onta Foreman or Leonard Fournette. Foreman gets Cincinnati. Fournette gets the Rams. Emerson, which way are you going there?
I still lean. I have a hard time getting away from my stars. So I would have a slight lean toward Leonard Fournette here. I think I have Leonard Fournette in that borderline RB1 range. And I have D'Onta Foreman checking in as about the RB 14 or 15 this week. So considering that, I'm going to have a slight lean toward Fournette. Fournette hasn't been that good this season, just efficiency-wise. Rashad White's been getting a little bit more of the workload.
Right.
But this is a matchup, despite, the defenses being stout. I do think that we could see a little bit back on track here for Matthew Stafford and Tom Brady. It's just, I've just been betting on it every week here. And I just, I could just end up being wrong. But man, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Tom Brady's had obviously a really tough year. He's had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life. That could be part of the reason he's not playing that well. But with some of that stuff seemingly being a little bit more behind him, maybe he can get a little bit more focused on this season. Not that I don't want to insinuate Tom Brady's not focused because he's the greatest ever. But hopefully with things calming down a little bit for him, he can get in a little bit rhythm with these wide receivers because the offense is still, with the offensive line's a little shaky. But, man, there's so many good skill players on this offense. It's hard for me to find them not succeeding at some point here.
Right. What do you think, Gary? You got to pick one.
I was taking notes.
Oh, you're taking notes. He's just saying what to do. I would be leaning towards Donta Foreman myself. Like in a standard format, I have him all the way up as like running back 7. Like that, and obviously that's a non-PPR. In PPR, I have him at 13 and 14 this matchup. So very, very close. I just feel like the offense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has just been so much more pass heavy. And I would assume that that should boost Fournette's value, right? Like he should be catching more passes, but we've seen Rachaad White creep into the picture. He's been getting more touches over the past month. And because of that, I just feel like it's trending in more of a split backfield for the Buccaneers. And right now, Foreman is the running back room for the Panthers. It's not a great group. It's not a talented offense by any means. It's not, they're not going to overwhelm you, but I'm chasing the volume in week 9. So that's where my play is with Donta Foreman versus Leonard Fournette. I've just been let down by Leonard. Maybe that's what it is. Handful of these past weeks, he was someone that I traded for in the offseason. Hasn't been worth what I gave up for him. That's for certain.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Oh, it's been tough. So I'm hoping things change. Yeah, I've drafted a lot of Fournette too, so I get it. I have him in some big tournaments. Man, I'll tell you just real quick, man. We was talking about the Scott Fish Bowl earlier. I just reminded me, just like Breece Hall and Javonte Williams is two of my top 3 backs. It's already over for me in the Scott Fish Bowl. But
oh yeah, dude, I lost Keenan Allen. I lost DJ Shark. I lost Elijah Mitchell. I drafted Jonathan Taylor 102. So it's just been terrible. It's just been terrible.
Last year, that's what happened to me is early injuries just took the starters out, But this year, no, I just suck.
It's such a deep league, you know what I mean? Like, especially in drafting. But then it's funny because I always go back, like, all right, well, I'm going to go back and set my roster at least. I don't want to be that guy. It's right. SFB, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm just looking at the waivers. I'm just like, oh, well, I really don't need to do anything. I can come here on Sunday morning and pick up whoever I want. You know what I mean? Like, I picked up Deion Jackson. He's starting for me. You know what I mean? But like, I didn't have to do anything to get him. He's just there because the really good teams, like their rosters are just so flooded with, talent and production. They don't need to do anything. And then half of the people aren't following along, you know? Yeah. So it works out. We got Felipe Del Rio in the chat. Solid name. Your parents did a good job. Isaiah Likely for the Ravens or Evan Ingram this week. That is a close one. Emerson and I had a pretty good conversation about Ingram the other day. He has a very good matchup. Also, someone that does not cost very much in DFS for his matchup is kind of weird. It's tough for me because the Ravens don't really have many weapons, and Isaiah Likely was prioritized when Andrews went out with his injury in week 8. I feel like Ingram is the safer floor here, but Likely could have a bigger booming week. I think Ingram is probably the pick, at least as far as like a trust standpoint. But Likely is, I feel like a good roll of the dice. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Emerson?
I would actually lean Likely here with Bateman out, Duvernay popping up on the injury report. He could be the top option. And I really actually, there's only a few tight ends. Like I would put him rated actually in that. I think Duvernay is going to play, but I put him right in that tier. Probably that 4 to 5 to 6 range there.
What is wrong with Duvernay? Sorry, just side note. Like I need to know about that. That's a problem for me.
I think he's going to play. I just thought he just popped up on. Let me look this back up. I just saw something.
Okay, because I acquired him in a few leagues where I like needed to start somebody. A good buy low option, especially prior to the Bateman injury. And he was someone that I grabbed. I was giving up like 3rd round, 4th round picks for him. It wasn't anything crazy, but if he's
I don't think it's anything crazy. It's nothing crazy. Like I said, he's going to play. It just was something like a couple days ago. I read just a little minor ding up or something like that. Sorry, everybody. Duvernay's playing, and I have him going as like a a high end wide receiver 3 for
Mm-hmm.
Duvernay too. So I like him too. But just Isaiah Likely, I put him in that just 4 to 5 to 6 range for tight ends. There's just very few guys I would take over him actually this week with Andrews out. So I really like Likely this week. I think he's a really good play. I think he could be a borderline top 5 play this week.
All right. You want to add anything to that, Gary? You got a pick here? No? Okay. All right. We got Edward Zhang in the chat. Says, yo, choose one. RB, one flex, Dion, Swift, Mostert, Boyd, DJ Moore. Choose one RB and one flex. So RB, wow, tough. Tough. I like Dion. Mostert's got a great matchup.
I think
man,
you covered it
tough.
right there, right?
No, this is tough. This is a tough question. I mean, you guys jump in any time here, but I mean, I really like these options this week. I like DJ Moore. I like Boyd. I like Mostert. I like Dion. I think Swift is just the easy name to just pull here, just based on his situation, based on his scenario. Maybe Dion is a sit too, just because of the quarterback situation. That offense, it could go stagnant at times. I mean, his skill set, I think, translates very well to the game flow. Them playing from behind, could catch a handful of passes. But Mostert, Boyd, and DJ Moore, these are guys that I like to score potential touchdowns this week. Someone help me out here. What do we think?
I would start Mostert and Boyd. I like Raheem Mostert's my highest rated running back out of this group of the week. I think with Chicago, you could see a little bit of more of a Raheem Mostert game. Why is his name? It's Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson with him just coming in. I think that with his first week, I think that he could end up being eased in. It could end up being a Raheem Mostert game with Miami getting up on Chicago Bears. So I like him there. And then Tyler Boyd without Jamar Chase is I just really like that spot too. Tyler Boyd always seems to step up when one of these guys are out. So
the passing volume is there. The only concerns I have about that is that the passing volume is there for Boyd, but DJ Moore doesn't have competition for targets, right? And then with Mostert, I feel like he's the lock. Like I feel like he has to be in either the flex or the RB. This one's tough for me. I would not be happy about making this decision. And I guess I would be back and forth between Dion and DJ Moore, Dion and Boyd. Gosh, that's tough.
I would just take Jackson Merced myself.
Jackson and who?
Merced.
Or Mostert?
Or Mostert.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm just so high on DJ Moore. It's really hard for me to get away from him.
Well, I like the Boyd. I can see that upside, but I think I just feel more comfortable, more secure with the other two.
All right. I think, let me see here. I'm just going to check the time because I think Dave is going to be jumping on soon. What did he say? He said sometime between 10:30 and 11. So we'll do another starter sit, and then I want to pick Gary's brain on some more IDP.
Cool.
So let's look at
because then I'll probably be taking off after that. Let you guys do your dirty O shit. I mean,
let's just dive right in then, because I have plenty of IDP stuff for you. First off, let's go through, like, Emerson. You had mentioned that you haven't played IDP before. What have been some of your reservations about not playing IDP in the past? I know you said that you've tried it or something or consider it, but I think it's a good conversation. A lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people have reservations. Oh, it's too hard. It's more information I need to study. What have been your reservations from not playing IDP?
Oh, it just hasn't happened. I actually was about to join some leagues this year, but they just didn't end up, I was sitting in them and they just didn't end up filling. And it's just tough because, it's just a whole nother information, like I feel like I spend so much time on all these offensive players. It's just a whole nother, it's a whole nother side of the field to tackle. So there's twice as much information. So I'm like, feel like I'm taking on water just with all these offensive players and everything. So sure. I'll definitely that's something I want to try to get into next year. It'd be nice to get deep maybe some 4 to 5 IDP players in there. So, I'll be listening to Gary over here for my advice probably though. Cause I don't think
I have those tipster leagues, man. So you might as well join there. Cause I try to set those at a nice standard for people to actually join and get their feet wet or whatever. That's pretty cool. And I know what you're talking about because, like I said, I don't do dirty O. Not only that, because at the time that I joined doing and sharing in the community, there weren't like 1,000 or more IDP guys. There was only there was probably less than 50. So it was like, the offense, it was like, I've been doing this for so long and I enjoy the IDP. I just completely concentrated on it. Now that I look back at the offense after 7 years of writing and nothing but IDP, no offensive article whatsoever in my life, it looks like just like it does to you, Emerson. It's like, oh shit, So I'll sit around, take notes, trust things, go with it, and do what I really want to do, and that's the IDP. So nothing against you guys' Dirty O. We need you more than anything. So anyway, we are the IDP is the stepchild.
As the stepchild, though, because stepchildren can still grow up and be amazing people. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Or assholes. Yes.
Or assholes,
Yeah.
Elon Musk is about to charge us $8 for being on Twitter. I feel like he may have been adopted.
Yeah,
potentially from another planet. If you've been keeping up on your Smallville.
I feel like Elon Musk on Twitter that much.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Someone's saving $8 a month.
Yep.
So as far as like someone who has a concern, Gary, like Emerson or anyone that's watching or listening, as far as like a current concern for playing IDP about having all of that extra information, how are some ways that you've gone through that? Because again, you're playing IDP, but when you're playing IDP, you still are playing offense, right? So how are some of the ways that you've gone through that process of being like, okay, I'm playing both sides of the ball here. What are some tips that you can give people for kind of making that transition from only playing offense to also playing, offense with IDP?
Right. Well, the first thing I'm going to really suggest, and I hate to do this, don't take on orphans if you've never played.
Sure.
It's not. I see it happen a lot. You'd be surprised. Oh, a friend gets
I'll give it a shot.
We've got this league. We really like you to join this league. It's usually always an orphan. So, always start from a startup. And the first thing you want to do is the thing that you're best. And I even do this. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you're starting, you're going to be drafting. Draft your offense first, folks. Get at least 80% of your starting guys going before you ever touch IDP. It doesn't matter what you see everybody else do. I don't give a shit if it's 3rd, 4th, 5th round, whatever. You wait. And I usually go anymore. The way things have flooded with defensive backs, I know we're missing some other key positions as like linebackers and such. It plays out. I'm telling you, you can get the same production level in the 12th, 13th, and 14th round within a very small margin, because what you want to do is you want to support that offense. You don't bring in your IDP. It's always great to have Smith, Leonard, all these big names on there. Boza, that's beautiful. I usually have 1 or 2 if I'm lucky, and that's because I'm just getting the tail end of them and building that offense first. Again, my guys didn't do as well. I probably got a little bit too much Mooney. I thought Rodgers would still survive. That's old dog stuff, though. I can't get out of old ways, I guess you could say.
But you got Ladarius Sneed, so you're fine.
Right, exactly. Hey, and I'll tell you what, I had a lot of guys over the past summer. One particular, I was able to show what he did in the draft. And if you're playing for free, just try a free league this way and see what happens. If you're an IDP player and you've been doing it a certain way and it's even successful a little bit, still give us, that's the best advice I could give anybody, is get that offense first, at least 80% of it. If you get down to you're needing a tight end and you're looking at tier 2, then, whatever. But at most of it, go for the offense, support the offense.
Right on. All right, let's get a couple of IDP pickups. It's Sunday morning. Maybe you want to swap somebody out that hasn't been performing well. Maybe you have Devondre Campbell and you just haven't filled that spot yet. What is a good last-minute IDP play that somebody can make?
Well, as soon as I open my app, I'll tell you. Let's see. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, are we talking a standard league? You need to put me in a box because I'm used to deep.
Sure.
And I want to make
sure. Let's say someone's filling a hole for Cole Holcomb. They've got to fill a linebacker position. Let's just say like a linebacker that you feel is available in a lot of leagues right now, or it could be someone that's just been a hot pickup this week that you feel confident about starting.
First guy I'd probably point to is Alex Anzalone. You can get
Anzalone.
Anzalone. You can get nice LB1 consistency out of him right now. He's really, you can't say he's a full blown breakout because he's been around, but the guy has just really got his shit together this year, and he's kept that consistency no matter what the matchup.
Okay.
I want to.
So I got a tough starter sit question then for you, since you brought up Anzalone. Alex Anzalone at linebacker, or the guy next to him, Matt Rodriguez.
Anzalone.
Okay, you're still going Anzalone, and why is that? Just because the rookie
give
versus
me
the vet?
Give me no.
Okay.
Give me the consistency over the potential high ceiling and IDP. Again, it's great. Hit those home runs, especially when you're digging deep. But consistency matters more than anything. And his consistency is what I'm going to shoot for. So I don't take the chance that it goes the other way, if that makes any sense.
Oh, no.
But you're talking about two players that are, really good plays within themselves. It doesn't matter. So that hair is really fine. I just prefer the consistency.
Fair enough. I'm screwed. I dropped Anzalone and I kept Rodriguez because Rodriguez
you're not screwed. You're solid. And like I said, he's got probably the bigger ceiling, the bigger home run threat, I guess you want to say.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I want to say it that way, but I did.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
How about a defensive back or a corner or safety that you have seen maybe over the past couple of weeks has been a little bit more productive than usual, that might be on the waivers, that might be a good ad this weekend?
I was going to open my waiver wires up here and share a little bit with you fellas if you'd like. I just slow to get there answering the first.
So I can just tell you some names that I'm seeing, and you can just kind of respond to this. So Ryan Neal, Dante Jackson, Marco Wilson, Ryan Neal with Seattle, Dante Jackson with Carolina, Marco Wilson with Arizona. They're all corners except for Neal, who's a safety.
Let's see. For one, I prefer safeties. Neal would be my first preference off the top. A lot of leagues, he wouldn't even be on the waiver wires. So that's another indication there. When you're coming to corners, it's kind of a matchup dependent a lot. For us, we usually try to suggest streaming them to begin with. Okay. So
I'll give you a Ryan Neal starter sit that, or comp, but pick one of the two. Sauce Gardner against Buffalo, or Ryan Neal up against Arizona.
Let's see.
I'm just giving them my starter sit questions. It's like, fill out my lineup, Gary.
Okay. Neal or who?
Sauce Gardner.
Oh,
he's
Philadelphia?
No, Buffalo. They got Buffalo.
Sauce Gardner, Jets corner. Oh, gee, you said Buffalo. I apologize. Yes,
yeah, actually, they're playing Buffalo.
I'm still going to go Neal. I'm still going to go Neal for the fact of the security of the position and again, consistency that a safety will carry.
I'm doing it right now. I'm making the move.
Yeah,
I'm doing it.
Especially playoff times. I know it's time to go swinging for the fences, but when you're, I think it's a little. Well, I guess maybe it's not a little bit different. If you guys were talking wide receiver to running back, PPR, you're leaning wide receiver, right? Normally, I mean, in most cases,
and the same thing. You need context. You got to know more than that. It's always going to be depending on the volume, the matchup. Does the running back have a split backfield? So, like, for example, if you're telling me this week, Donta Foreman, or say, I'm trying to think of like a flex fringe wide receiver. I don't know, Hunter Renfrow. But
hey, by the way, we got Dave down there. By the way,
Dave's in.
Saw him hiding. Yeah,
I'm trying to pick up Ryan Neal and put him into my defensive back spot here. So I'm living and dying by the lounge here this morning. What's up, Dave? How we doing, brother?
Doing well. What's up, gentlemen?
Doing good. We're just picking Gary's brain here for some IDP action. You got any IDP questions you want to toss to Gary?
Yeah, I just got a question. Is it normal for Javon Hargrave to score 56 points?
That's
No.
Wrong league. Get out of that league.
Yeah. So
I mean, it really depends. Some scoring formats anymore. It's
I'm in a wild league where quarterbacks score like almost like a third of the points of the total lineup because it's so boosted and like it's just like crazy quarterback scoring. It's like a one quarterback but super flex league because the quarterbacks are so crazy valuable. I mean, yeah, you have crazy league types all the time.
yeah, it was kind of like you get kind of begged into a league and then you get in there and then this kind of stuff happens and you're stuck with it. So I won't be in that league any too much longer, but I'm like Joe Burrow's highest, like he had 62 points. It's also got some scoring bonuses for quarterbacks, but like the average defensive lineman scores like 15 points. So when somebody scores 65 or 56, whatever, it really unbalances things.
right.
But,
It's
so,
too
yeah.
extreme, and especially with
Yeah, that's
IDP
wild.
people like doing that just to try to bring another position up. And I get it, but it's a bit much.
I'm sorry. I just love where Dave went with that. It was just like, so anyways, IDP, I'm getting shit on. This guy scored a
Right.
billion points on me.
yeah, I mean,
One of
you know,
those leagues.
one of
Yeah.
those leagues. But yeah, Gary, you may know what league I'm talking about, but you're no longer in that league. So
Yes, sir. I do know. And
but as
there was a
far as,
reason I love
the
this.
question here, have you guys answered Justin
hilarious.
Fields or Kirk Cousins?
We haven't yet. We've been talking IDP. I've been getting them on deck here.
Yeah.
Let's
I was going to clear a house after that, Dave. Let you guys talk that dirty O.
let me get one more defensive lineman. Let me ask you about one more defensive, just so we can kind of go around each position at least.
Right.
Let me take a look here. All right, so what's a good one? What good potential pickup today? Javon
Quick
Hargraves
question.
on the waivers.
Yeah, it's because the guy is actually
He's
he just hit the last couple of games in a row.
That's
He's a
hilarious.
very talented guy, but yeah,
It's the first name I saw.
I mentioned that I'm in a league too that actually it's best ball,
Oh,
but
God.
you can still, you work the waiver wire. And
Right.
I took this over as an orphan. It's a money league, but I know the guy real well. And it's all kind of like that too. And
Right.
the defensive tackles so the first thing I did after I realized it, because that's kind of how it happened. Somebody hit like Hargraves and there was like 65 points come out of a defensive tackle. And I'm like, you're shitting me. So I go double check. Hey, first thing I do is I dumped QB or cornerbacks. Well, I must have picked up like 6 or 7 extra defensive tackles. And I'm in third place in a money league that
Right.
I just basically just joined and went through the motions. So hanging in there.
Let's see. So Derek Brown for Carolina or Quinnen Williams for the Jets.
Yeah, I'd have to go Williams just off the top. I'm going to check the matchup though, but I'm pretty sure Tampa Bay. Who's it? Carolina and Tampa Bay?
No,
yeah.
Carolina and Tampa Bay just played. Tampa Bay and Los Angeles.
So Jets in Buffalo and Carolina and,
Actually, it's not so
Cincinnati.
bad. I'm trying to think because they're screwed off the edge. They give up a lot of protection. But the interior, I believe they keep. I would go. Brown. I think I'd go Brown. Between the two, it's pretty tight. I mean, you're talking within a small margin matchup.
I'm doing it.
And you got Williams with Buffalo, which I'm pretty sure suck at low production. I want to make sure, man. I got to think this out. Unlike you, I got to. I see so many. I go through like 500 IDP guys that snaps production every week to do these charts. So I can never remember what the hell it was at the end. And Buffalo's down to the bottom 10 allowing production too. So you might as well go ahead and go with the Rams. That offensive line is kind of atrocious this year.
They're playing the Bengals, Carolina.
I thought you said Rams.
I didn't say Rams. I think Dave said Rams. I think he was talking about a different matchup.
Isn't Tampa Bay playing the Rams?
Yep,
Tampa Bay
they
is
are.
playing the Rams, but I was talking about what was
That's
it? Derek Brown of the God bless it, the Carolina Panthers. Jesus.
Panthers.
They're playing the Bengals.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
Okay.
which
well, then
is a
that's
better matchup. So I took your advice. You didn't even know you were giving it. That's fine. It's all
Oh,
good.
yeah. That's
All right.
cool.
All right, let's break into some of these questions in the chat here. We got Ricardo Montez, Justin Fields, or Kirk Cousins this week. Taking off,
Later,
Gary.
fellas.
Love you.
Yeah.
Love you, sir.
Yeah. Want me to pop back in with some DFS if I have time here?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, this is
right.
the lounge. We're
That's
here.
that's, duty calls.
Duty. He said duty.
Duty. Football duty on top of that.
Right on. All right, so we got
Take it
Justin
easy.
Fields. We got Justin Fields or Kirk Cousins this week. Emerson, where are you at with this one?
I'm going to leave Justin Fields this week. I have him as in my quarterback one range, and I think I have Kirk Cousins. Yeah, I have Kirk. Let me double check my rankings. I would take if I haven't updated it yet. I'm going to have a slight lean toward Justin Fields just because of that rushing upside. Just because I think he'll be flinging that ball around a little bit, being behind today from Miami. He'll probably get behind by a couple scores right away. We'll see how Claypool's worked in today. That can be nothing but better for Justin Fields, though, to get another playmaker out there. He might not get a full assembly of snaps yet, but Justin Fields has been had a great couple weeks, passing wise, it's been a little ugly, but, just fantasy wise, it's been great the last couple weeks. So I'm going to lean toward Justin Fields here.
Gotcha. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think they're both pretty solid plays. I'll go with Fields just because the rushing upside. 6-point scoring does help Kirk Cousins. Some leagues have 6-point passing touchdowns, some don't. But I'll go Fields here. He's been pretty consistent the last few weeks, and he's been doing it on the ground.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's weird to say that Fields is the answer here, but I'm also a Bears fan, so I wasn't expecting you both to go Fields. Was expecting Fields to be the majority. 222 rushing yards the past 3 weeks, 2 rushing touchdowns the past 3 weeks. He's rushing the ball at the same rate as Lamar Jackson. So if we're all, loving and searching for that safe rushing floor at quarterback all offseason, here it is right in front of you in week 9, Justin Fields. Pretty easy one. We've got a shared account here of Laura and Jim Cooperman. Need 1 flex and 1 wide receiver to Deshaun Jackson. Wow, we are getting deep already.
Ew.
Jarvis Landry, Evan Ingram, or Alan Lazard. I still feel like I like Alan Lazard and Evan Ingram this week. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, same with me. The Lions are tough on the outside, so I think Romeo Doubs has a tough matchup, but they've been giving up the most points to the slot, and Alan Lazard plays a lot in the slot, as well as he's Aaron Rodgers' favorite target in the red zone. So even if he doesn't get 10 targets, he's going to get probably 1 or 2 in the red zone. So Lazard's the top pick here, and then I'll go Evan Ingram. He's been playing really well, and the Raiders are a pretty soft matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 3 matchup to the tight end position.
Yeah, Raiders defense has been a disaster this year, so that I like that one a lot. And yeah, Alan Lazard, I didn't think he was going to play earlier this week, but yeah, happy to have him back. And yeah, Deshaun Jackson is just he's so past the hill that it was 5 or 6 years ago.
That's a YOLO play. I mean, he's going to be out there for like 15 snaps, maybe 2 targets, and you're just like hoping to God that it's him. And then what's going to happen is you're going to think it's him, and it's going to be Duvernay.
Exactly.
Poor folks at home. James Conner, Jeff Wilson, tough, but I guess James Conner for the upside of playing. You're not feeling good about either of those starts, I don't feel like.
James Conner's pretty easy. I mean, he's back. He's healthy. They seems like they let him get pretty fully recovered. I would, Jeff Wilson just got traded to Miami. I wouldn't expect him to get a full workload. So I mean, and Raheem Mostert hasn't done anything to give up that workload either. So I would leave James Conner pretty easily here for me.
Right.
Yeah, I'll go with James Conner, and unless Jeff Wilson gets that like Jerome Bettis kind of a line of 2 carries, 2 touchdowns, and -1 yards. It's going to be touchdown dependent for Wilson, and Conner I think is the volume play here.
Right on. We got Shaka in the chat. Should I trade away Jacobs and Godwin for Justin Jefferson, I'm guessing, and Khalil Herbert? As long as that's Justin Jefferson, I'm good. Like that's a pretty easy one for me. I don't mind.
This is almost in redraft and in dynasty league, of course, you take Justin Jefferson. In a redraft, I would have a hard time doing that. Godwin is getting us a target machine. Josh
Mhm.
Jacobs is an RB1. I think you're giving up a lot there. Justin Jefferson hasn't, he's been very good, but he has not been Tyreek Hill. He hasn't been Cooper Kupp this year to that extent. So just considering that, I would personally, if this is a standard redraft league, I would keep Jacobs and Godwin.
I like his running backs though. He's got Barkley, Kenneth Walker already. I feel like getting JJ on that roster be pretty solid. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I know Jacobs had a down week last week, but I mean, this is. I don't look at the running backs and feel like you're safe. I mean, Barkley's on bye this week, so you got bailed out by having Dion there.
Mm-hmm.
Pacheco and White are just like you're hoping something happens. Dion could go right back to the bench, and you're sitting with Barkley and Walker, and God forbid somebody gets hurt, and you're starting Khalil Herbert, and again hoping somebody gets hurt. So I love getting Jefferson there, but it's a close trade for me. And Jefferson is a league winner, but Godwin and Jacobs is pretty good. So
love the volume that Godwin's been getting. Just don't love what he's been bringing home from it. Would like to see a little more efficiency there. Dave dropping the comment for the Debo jersey. We got Geno or A-Rod and Garrett Wilson or Dubes.
I mean, if you're ever going to start Aaron Rodgers, you might as well cut Aaron Rodgers if you don't want to start him this week. Like if this isn't the day that you're going to play Aaron Rodgers, just get rid of him because you're never going to at this point. Detroit's by far the worst offense in the league. Man, it's still tough for me to say Aaron Rodgers, but I think
I'm starting both of them on the same Superflex roster over Tom Brady, Derek Carr, and Jared Goff.
My rankings say Geno Smith. My heart, I kind of wants to say Aaron Rodgers. Man, that's so tough. Geno Smith has a lot safer floor. Like if you're confident you're going to win your matchup, I would start Geno. But A-Rod has that kind of unlocked potential there. But yeah, and that's tough. Yeah, that's a tough choice.
I pretty much share the same sentiment. The numbers say Geno, the instincts probably say Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at my rankings real quick. I got them pretty close on. For me, I agree that Geno's the safer pick here. You can see them just run wild all over, and Aaron Rodgers gets 300 yards passing and 1 touchdown. So, I'm in with Geno on this one, and then as far as the other pick, I'm gonna go Wilson over Dobbs.
Oh yeah, Wilson over Dobbs.
Okuda's been tough. Okuda's been really tough. It looks good on paper because it's the Lions, but Okuda's been real tough.
Man, yeah, that's tough. With Lazard playing, I would take Garrett.
Yeah, I have Geno at 10, Rodgers at 14.
I have him 11 and 13, so pretty close.
Man, yeah, that's a tough matchup. I get. You know what? I would have a slight lean toward Garrett Wilson too. It's very close. He seems to be the clear number one over Elijah Moore.
I'm sitting both of them. Give me Khalif Raymond.
Khalif Raymond I'm starting him in a lot of leagues this week.
Going to open up that deep ball.
They're 3 wide receiver, 3 flex leagues. It's a bunch of bye weeks and injuries piling up. Yeah, Khalif Raymond's going in a lot of lineups this week.
Yeah, Josh Reynolds is supposed to be out.
Yeah,
right. No, between the two, I would go Wilson as well. He's just been more of a focal point of the offense. You have Corey Davis out. They're not starting Elijah Moore. They refuse to give Elijah Moore, a significant amount of opportunities, let alone snaps. So I think it's going to be a lot of Denzel Mims and Garrett Wilson this week in a matchup where they're probably playing from behind. I feel like they could get in a situation where Garrett Wilson cleans up some garbage time and really makes day. All right, that's pretty much all we got from the chat. Dave, what's going on in the world of Dynasty right now? What are some big takes you've had this week from some of these recent trades?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ripple effect when it comes to the trade market. You see Chase Claypool leave, which it's kind of a good trade for everybody. So Chase Claypool goes to the Bears. It's good for Justin Fields, good for Chase Claypool because now he's the number 2 instead of the number 3. Good for George Pickens. So I think everybody kind of wins there. And Darnell Mooney, he's not going to lose. Like you're basically just taking Equanimeous St. Brown and Dante Pettis' targets,
right,
and throwing them at Chase Claypool. I don't think Claypool is that impactful the first couple weeks. Takes a little while to get adjusted. But I thought those were good moves. I thought Jeff Wilson to the Niners to the Dolphins was a sneaky pick.
I like
Once
that.
Chase Edmonds moved, it really opened it up. I wrote an article recently and put down that the Dolphins are going to add a running back, and they did. And Jeff Wilson knows the system. I think he's going to hit the ground running with this offense. And Raheem Mostert, everyone knows this guy burns bright. He's an RB1, and next thing you know, poof, he's out for 8 weeks. And so it could happen at any time. So anyone that dropped Jeff Wilson after the CMC trade, I think that was not a smart move. One, CMC has his share of injuries as well, and he was a good handcuff for him. But now he's a great handcuff and on a great offense. So if Jeff Wilson's available in your leagues, you need to go scoop him up. Nyheim Hines is out. Deion Jackson. It's a great pickup this week. It could be a pickup longer. Not that he's like, dynasty asset for years to come, but who would be shocked if you saw the DeAndre Swift treatment for Jonathan Taylor this year? He's questionable. Next thing you know, he's out. Next thing you know, he's just out for the year. The Colts have no reason to take their best player and put him in any type of danger. So if he is not 100%, they're going to roll Deion Jackson out there. I know Zach Moss was just added, but
that's what I was going to ask you next is like, let's say that scenario plays out. Does that make Zach Moss a buy candidate at that point?
Maybe. I mean, Zach Moss has, he's not really done anything since he's been in the league. Deion Jackson's played, 2 games where he's had more than 50% snaps, and he's out produced Zach Moss's entire career. Like Deion Jackson looks good, and he can catch the ball a lot better than Zach Moss. Who sees it? Who knows if he can hold up to that kind of workload on a week-to-week basis? But Deion Jackson is someone that could be a very good play in leagues. And then, the injuries beyond the trades, Michael Thomas is out. That unlocks some things for Chris Olave and Traquan Smith. But it also, you saw Rashad Bateman out. So the Ravens did not add a receiver. So Duvernay, but I think Likely is a solid pickup. And for Dynasty, you're going to see him on the field more, even even if Andrews plays, which sounds like he's not going to play.
That's what it's looking like, yeah.
If Andrews does play, Likely is going to see an increased snap count with no Bateman. Their offense is not as good without Bateman. And Duvernay, Deshaun Jackson's not going to do it. So Likely is someone that I think could be in your rosters.
Emerson, you got Dynasty Analyst right in the name there. Anything to add on top of that?
It's so funny, just because like when I first started, I was so dynasty oriented, and it shifted just more and more away from that. I still am in a ton of dynasty leagues, just the content has shifted more and more away from that. But I, it's tough because TJ Hawkinson, that was kind of that was the big one. And, I just don't think it changes much for him. He's just, he's a very good talent. He's kind of like a poor man's George Kittle to me. He's capable of that breakout game, but more weeks than not, it's just kind of going to be that above average performance where I don't think he gives you a premium above those tight ends below him. It seems to be that the targets may be a little bit more open. Adam Thielen, isn't a scary second option. I don't see things changing too much for TJ Hawkinson. I still see him as that mid-tier tight end one that kind of, has those boom weeks that keeps him up in that range. Chase Claypool, that's, it's nice to see him get, a fresh start. This is going to be a better, get a lot more targets potentially in this offense, but, those targets aren't very plentiful. You know what I mean? This is one of the lowest passing attempts offense in the league. So, it's like I said, it's just kind of a mix. I didn't see a huge massive shifts in dynasty value. Kadarius Toney, of course, is very interesting on my Chiefs. That's probably the most interesting, intriguing one. It's just Kadarius Toney hasn't shown us that he really. Like I was saying, I don't want to say that people aren't committed because I don't know Kadarius Toney. But just from the outsiders looking in, when you see practice, reports last year of him missing practice because of cleats and personal reasons his rookie year, and disgruntled coming into his second year, and now his I'm glad to see he's off the injury report, but that doesn't make me feel good about this guy. Is he committed to football? You know, he should be in his second year, no matter who you're playing for. In my opinion, you should be pretty motivated to play, even if it's on the New York Giants. So that's super interesting. So, but yeah, I mean, if anything can rebound his dynasty value, would be playing for the Chiefs.
Right on. We got Steven in the chat asking, battling some buys, some injuries. Can you share some thoughts on my flex spot? Full point PPR, Allen Lazard, Romeo Dubes, Rondell Moore, Zay Jones. Did he say how many? Just one?
It just says flex spot, so I'm assuming
I'd say one, yeah. So, but I mean, I think I would flip flop. I think the order is correct. I would consider flipping Rondale Moore and Dobbs, but if it's just one, I would definitely go with Lazard. And Zay Jones would be probably in fourth in that target list. Yeah.
Is it just coming down to the touchdown percentage? I mean, that's to me was what holds Lazard's floor so safely. Like, you know, he's not going to bottom out because of that touchdown percentage.
Dobbs is fine. Like, he's just not like if Christian Watson was healthy, I think he would be playing over Romeo Dobbs. So I just think, you know, is Dobbs that, you know, he had a good week last week. He had a nice catch where he totally unnecessarily like turned around like twice, made it look way harder than it needed to be actually. So I'm not crazy about Dobbs. I just don't think like I said, I think it'll be Christian Watson starting if he ever can return to the field. So Lazard's definitely the clear choice for me here.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And Rondell Moore be number 2, and then Dobbs 3 for the same reasons I said before. But yeah, I know we've been talking a lot about Lazard's touchdowns and red zone, but he's also playing on. Last week was 59% of snaps. He's played on 90% of snaps, 96, 94, 97, and then his targets since week 3: 6 targets, 8 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets, 7 targets. So even on 59% of snaps, he had 7 targets. So follow the targets, follow the snap counts, and that's what will lead you to Lazard.
Yeah, it should be a pretty easy one. Just follow it to the game time. He should be healthy. That would be the only thing that would put any doubt in there, is if there's some type of late action on his injury update. I know we're gonna have Sebastian in here at some point soon. He'll be answering some last minute injury questions as well. Getting over back to some dynasty conversation here. What are some potential trade targets you guys could have in mind that could either really prop you up for the back end of this season? They may not be the best assets like dynasty, you know, years in advance, but it could be a nice win now move, or a move that could just help you into next year, like an asset that you would acquire now that won't help you but will help you next season, or an asset that will help you this season but may not help you in the years to come. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've been getting Khalil Herbert everywhere I can.
Okay,
I like the player a lot. Dave Montgomery is a free agent next year. The Bears got plenty of money, and they could go and re-sign him. But if for some reason they didn't, he would be an absolute monster. And if Dave Montgomery went down, he could help you this year. He's getting enough usage. He can flex him some weeks, but I'm not really confident in starting him right now. But obviously, if Montgomery went down, but Herbert is someone I'm targeting. Trying to think of anybody else. Emerson, you got anybody?
I like Chris Godwin down the stretch here, like, just following those targets, like you were saying before. Just waiting on that touchdown that he hasn't gotten yet. I just think it's tough for me to bet against. Is Brady going to play this bad the whole year? I think we see a stretch run out of Brady. I think that brings Godwin. So I think Godwin's a great target if you're competing at the end of this year.
That's another one, Rachaad White. So you could see the team turn to Rachaad White a lot more now. Leonard Fournette's been very inefficient. He's he's the Florida version of Najee Harris. Fournette 9 carries, 27 yards. Rachaad White looks like the more explosive player. They're getting him on the field, and I would not be surprised if they involved him more in the offense. Another player that was really kind of like you could have got him for a bag of chips a few weeks ago is Antonio Gibson. He's a better running back than Brian Robinson, and yeah, it's always been the case, but they're finally using him in the J.D. McKissic role, and so Gibson not only did he outsnapped Brian Robinson last week, but he's also being involved in the passing game finally. And Antonio Gibson's also a free agent he's a free agent in a couple years. So it's not next year, it's in a couple years. So
Mhm.
you'd have to, wait a year for that, or see that the team can move on from him if they really do want to move forward with Brian Robinson. But I do think that's another one.
All right. I have on my short list here for a trade target, my boy Jimmy Garoppolo. So I want you guys to help me acquire Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm going to tell you why. One, you just look at all the weapons around him right now, right? Added CMC, Debo's playing well, Kittle's playing well, Ayuk is, an asset that I would like to acquire. Dave, if you want to keep that trade negotiation open, there's no problem there.
Which one
I'm
is
trying-
that for Ayuk?
Yeah, for Ayuk, yeah.
I traded him already.
Oh, did you? Damn.
I got a first.
Son of a bitch.
I got a 23 first for Ayuk, and
Is that in that same league? I got
Yeah,
Mike Evans
actually-
for a first.
yeah, I traded Ayuk and Herbert for a first.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right, so that's not going to happen.
Now I got 3 firsts over there. Yeah, I went pretty crazy this week with some trades.
I am trying to acquire Jimmy Garoppolo from our very own Brad Stickler. And Dave, you're in this league, so maybe we'll have you stay impartial here. I'm trying to see how the best way I can present this. I'm going to tell you Brad's team first, Emerson. He's got Stafford, Stevenson, Etienne, Metcalf, Samuel, Goddard, Foreman, Gibson, Heineke. It's pretty solid for being 2-6.
Brad likes Jared Goff. So I record with Brad every week. So Brad, I'm okay
All right.
giving the inside information.
All right, Jared Goff.
If you
He's
watch
on the list.
show- Yeah, if you watch the show, Brad, he likes Jared Goff. The reason he called Ryan Tannehill my boy is because we kept going back and forth, and he thinks that Tannehill's going to be, a backup here soon, or at least moved on
Sure.
from. And I mentioned Jared Goff that way, and he was like, no. And now we've seen Malik Willis play, and I think we're more confident Ryan Tannehill's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, but Jared Goff, he likes for sure. Looking down the roster.
So I have, So for Emerson's info, I have Goff, Henry, Montgomery, but that's typically CMC. He's on a bye. Jacoby Myers, Devonta Adams, Dawson Knox, Duvernay, Juju, Mike Evans, Mariota. Again, we got bye quarterback with Dak. I'm trying to see if any. Does he like Renfro? I've tried offering him Renfro before. He doesn't.
I mean,
doesn't
you
seem-
can't. How could you can't offer you can't offer Renfro right now? Nobody wants.
Well,
They're like
here's
you're
the
selling him
deal.
at such a low point.
Here's the deal. He's 2-6. He's looking to trade for picks.
Is a second enough? I feel like it is for
Jimmy,
but-
right? That's what we're trying
Yeah.
to do. For a
So
super
Goff,
flex.
like, is
And a
Goff in a
super flex.
second? An adequate trade?
Goff
I mean-
in a second, I think will get it done. I don't think a second would get it done. Just right off the bat.
No, I don't think a second alone. I wouldn't do that trade.
I wouldn't give up Goff and a second for Jimmy. That'd be kind of tough for me.
So for the appeal for Jimmy first and foremost is this season, right? So you look at the schedule going forward. I'm trying to pull him up here because I'm going back and forth from his team and my team, and he's got Jimmy on the
It's going
bench.
to be an interesting write-up about free agent quarterbacks. I don't know if the editors have seen it yet, but I did just write that yesterday.
And that's where I was going with it after this is that, he is going to be on the move somewhere. And that's why I say it's a good win now move, but it's uncertain for next season because what if he winds up in Houston? That's not going to be great. You know what I mean? But coming off the bye, he's got the Chargers, Arizona, New Orleans, Miami, Tampa, Seattle, Washington, Las Vegas. Like, these are all great matchups if you're trying to win this season. And his roster is so elevated with Christian McCaffrey right now. My quarterbacks, I have Dak. He's a start and forget for sure. But Jared Goff, Derek Carr, the Mariota, all ebb and flow type of players right now. And I think that Garoppolo would still kind of fit that. But when I'm playing the matchup game going down the stretch, I feel like his name is going to be more consistent, as a lock stock starter.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that I have them in a similar range though. It'd be hard for me unless you were like, man, you're locked in. You think you're the 210 to 212. Like I said,
All right.
the guys have Goff and Jimmy very close. So
I'll just put it this. I'm not the trade calculator guy, but this is just like a non-biased reference. So Jimmy Garoppolo is worth 9.4, Jared Goff 18.6. If you add a 23 second, it is 18.4 versus 18.6. So it is almost spot on. So
Brad, I'm sending that shit.
That's where it's at, and that's a mid 23 second. And if yours ends up being late,
I can't
changes
send
the
it today
value.
though, because in that league it's like immediate trade, so I can't send it today.
Yeah, it is an immediate trade.
So if he
and,
accepts it, then I'll lose Goff from my lineup, and I wanted him in this week. So
yeah. So but I think you'll be okay. You could always do a handshake agreement in the DMs.
I'm offering that. I'm offering that at kickoff.
As long as Goff doesn't get hurt today, can we agree upon this?
Don't you say that. Don't you say that.
Yeah.
Does he have any Detroit players to stack him with by chance?
No.
No. Okay. All right.
I always think that's tough though. It's just like, okay, so like, but I always say like, sure, but like with the impression, like if Jimmy Garoppolo throws for 5 touchdowns today, like the deal's off.
He's on
like,
bye.
Just so you know,
he's on
whatever, I always do it. I'm
five touchdowns.
just speaking in general. Just speaking in general,
yeah.
though, for those deals before the week, it's just like, well, like sure, like I'll agree to in principle, but like if my player that I'm giving away breaks out, like has an incredible game, no.
Then it's Goff in a third, Brad. I'm sorry.
Then it's Goff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole deal. If you do that kind of deal, you have to be both sides. A trade tip would be that Sleeper does allow you to have a timer on your trades, so you can take them off. There are people that are in your leagues that will accept a trade after a player gets hurt and won't even blink twice and say, hey, you know what, this is a grown man's game, yada yada. Screw those guys. But that there are people that will do that.
I'll just be if I commission the league, I'll just veto it. I don't
Yeah. I had a guy yesterday.
Oh, you're one of those, huh? Oh,
I mean, if somebody accepts a trade on an injury, like I'll just
commission has to step in at some point. I had a guy yesterday. He was mad. I called him out on it, but I see a trade offer for Alvin Kamara and Saquon Barkley, and I'm like, it's kind of it's a 1-for-1 running back deal. So there's not too much. I'm like, I'm sticking with Barkley regardless. He's getting the bye week now. He gets Houston next week. Alvin Kamara's got a week 14 bye. Then I'm like, wait a minute, what's this TMZ video? I'm like, so you tried to send me a trade, and he was like, oh, why are you calling me out? I'm like, why would you see this video and instantly send me an offer for Barkley? Not even like, hey, can you give me like a small trade? Like he wanted Barkley for Kamara instantly after that video went. I'm like, that's interesting move. And if you don't worry, I sent it out to a whole bunch of people to see if anyone was worth the gamble. And I was like, well, and it probably is worth it because it doesn't sound like Kamara is going to be suspended or have any court proceedings till next year.
Right.
But the video definitely makes it worried for Dynasty about next year.
Well, I mean, I think it was going to happen at some point, but it's just like, man, it's just like now it is because the NFL just loves to be like, okay, we saw the video, now do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If they saw, they're like, we didn't see anything with Deshaun Watson. He's only going to get a couple weeks. He's going to get a raise, and then he's going to get to play Houston on his first week back. Like,
that's not footage I really want to see.
Yeah. That's not safe for work, but everyone does realize that he plays the Texans his first week back. That's December 4th, and he is going to be activated for that game.
I mean, I don't mind it for some of the wide receivers, but like, man, it's just like he didn't look very good in the preseason. He's going to be 2 years coming in cold. It's just like I didn't draft a ton of shots. It's just like even like, what do you expect from him in 5 games, 2 years removed from playing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is allowed to practice, I believe. Starting
he has been,
week.
right?
I think either this week or next week, but they are allowing him to practice. I did scoop him up in the Scott Fish Bowl. Just in those kind of big tournaments, you have to figure you have to have something quirky. And I have locked a playoff already. I'm not sure if you guys know they do median scoring.
Mm-hmm.
So the median scoring is also added to your standings. So if you have X amount of wins, you're already guaranteed a playoff.
All my Scott Fish Bowl players have died, Dave. So.
Oh my God, I hate it.
Yeah,
Dude,
we were talking about that earlier. Just like they're dead. They died.
Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, and Michael Thomas. It's over. It's over.
I got Michael Thomas as well, but I've fell into some luck in that one. I have Travis Etienne, Dameon Pierce were nice, kind of saviors for the squad, and then I've been running multiple kickers. And
I see your tweets all the time about that.
Hey, I drafted Evan McPherson, Harrison Butker, I drafted in Young Ho Koo like pretty damn like relatively early on, just because like I knew this is where I'd be hitting, and I'm getting solid production out of him.
I'm like Baker Mayfield got me -5 points last week. What am I doing? Like that's it. I'm bringing in the kicker, and I ran 3 kickers. I tried to run 4, but I couldn't because I had to play 3 receivers. But then this week I can only run 1 kicker because of the bye weeks and stuff.
Sure.
It's pretty rough. I'd have to drop somebody. So I'm playing Taylor Heineke instead of a kicker this week. We'll see how that goes. He's usually good for 2 or 3 turnovers, but also 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I had, I think, 4 or 5 injuries. It was over before it started. And I also drafted Jonathan Taylor with my first pick. So it's over.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor leagues are rough. I had a good moment for Scott Fishbowl. I was like, oh, man, I wonder who's got Deion Jackson. And I went in there. I was like, oh, nobody. I do. Oh. Kind of the good brain.
Yeah.
But I'm in so many leagues. I don't even remember if I have him or not,
Right. I picked him up for free in my league, in Vice City League. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier was that like, it's so up and down because you'll have people like you that are like really playing it, playing the waivers. And then I go in on a Saturday and like, oh, Deion Jackson's available. Cool.
Yeah, I know. I've been posting videos all week, like go get them. And
where are these leagues with Deion Jackson available? I want to be in this league.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't join mine.
He's my most rostered dynasty player, just because I went through. I'm like, I don't trust Philip Lindsay. Hines is not the backup. Who is going to be the backup once they put the 53-man roster out there? I went and scooped Deion Jackson up in every single one of my dynasty leagues that I could and stashed them. So it worked out pretty well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starts for Deion for me today. 5.
Yeah, I'm probably a little bit above that. I got them everywhere.
Yeah, Khalif Raymond is who I'm like throwing out there a ton.
I think the league I'm in with Dave, I'm throwing out, or no, that's a different one. I think it's Khalif and Amon-Ra. Just like I'm buried.
It's a tough week, man. I put the Hunger Games gif out there and just said like the answer to all your start sit questions is may the odds be in your favor.
Yeah, right.
I got a league where like I'm literally gonna get 0 points out of my bench. Like I have like 9 players, they're either out or on bye. So like that's all we got. We're starting Sony Michel in the triple flex. Let's go.
Yeah, I got one of those. I'll share one with you.
I got Raymond in that one. I got Khalif Raymond rolling. I got Raymond and Michelle are my last 2 picks.
So I picked up a quarterback. I picked up Andy Dalton because it's a single quarterback league. Lamar Jackson is on bye next week. Just get in before I have to pay for it, right? Elijah Mitchell on the IR. Judy on bye. Brandon Cooks didn't play because he'd be cooking. He'd be Brandon Cooks. Gus Edwards doubtful. James Robinson questionable. Most probably will play, but not an option. Then I'm rolling out 2 tight ends. Tanyan likely healthy. Deion Jackson, Aaron Jones, KJ Osborne. My goodness. MVS, DJ Moore, and Lamar. Ugh, I feel so dirty about it. I feel so dirty. Where was I going before we? Oh, because we do have 6 teams off this week. We talked a little bit of Dynasty. Let's talk about some of Emerson's Battle Royale content. Who are some key targets this week in Battle Royales, with six teams being out? I know that you were talking before about, like when you're needing a quarterback, the team that's won that big prize week in and week out has had a top quarterback. Are you literally only rolling out lineups this week with Herbert or is Josh Allen in there? Yeah, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen's in there. It can be surprising. Like Josh Allen is, and if I get the first pick, I am taking Josh Allen just because that's where you're going to get your exposure to. Yeah, that's where you're going to. Yeah, I mean, he's never going to fall very far. So you definitely want to get your exposure there. But Justin Herbert was not on my list of quarterbacks I would draft in my Battle Royale this week. I just don't think his ceiling outcome is there without Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. It's just hard for me to picture him getting up there. So I believe in my list, I listed about 6 quarterbacks that I think can get you into that range, get you maybe into that $50,000 pool. That included Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Aaron Rodgers. I had a couple more on there. I'm going to pull it up. But, I just think it's super important to hit on quarterback and tight end. Every single battle royale winner this year, except for, I don't have access to week 5. I had a crazy week and I wasn't able to get in that last week, so I don't have access to that winner. But every single winner has had a top 3 quarterback and a top 3 tight end in your league, so you need to nail that. So when I'm doing that, and it's really hard this week because and Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce have been on 4 of the 7 battle royale winners so far. So and then there's T.J. Hawkinson had a week, Kyle Pitts had a week, and George Kittle had a week as well. So you really got to nail. So I'm always drafting Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce when they're on the main slate in the first round if I can. And, or especially if they dip into that second round, even better, because that's incredible value. But with both of those guys off the main slate this week, it is a little bit tougher. I love Robert Tonyan against Detroit this week.
Okay.
That's that's just chalk easy. Detroit's the worst defense in the league right now. I also really like Gerald Everett. He's gonna, he could have a super boom week here without he could be the number 1 target for Justin Herbert this week against in an over/under game with 49.5. So I really like Gerald Everett this week as well. Those are my top 2. I'm gonna try to get. And Kyle Pitts on the other side. We just can't. This is still the same guy who had 1,000 yards last year. Still the most probably maybe even you could argue the most talented tight end in the league. So I like him a lot here as well. Don't laugh. He's still the most talented.
Have you seen that video of the guy where if you had to feed your family with fantasy football?
You were explaining this to me the other podcast we did a couple days ago, but I haven't seen it
yet. Dad, you got to trade Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a unicorn. He says something about Kyle Pitts too. He's like, Kyle Pitts is the highest drafted tight end in history, in NFL history. I'm sorry. What if we don't win? We're out of the league. We're going to be poor. We're going to be living on the streets.
Can I look this up on YouTube?
What is it? I don't know if it's on YouTube.
Is it on Twitter?
I think he's on it. I think he's on Instagram. I don't know.
I don't have all these fun short videos. So I've never had any social media before I even started doing this, fantasy football. So I Instagram and all that stuff is beyond me.
Damn. What did you do? Like, so you send people like doves of photos of you, or like?
There no photos of me existed.
Oh, unreal.
And I texted people.
Damn.
I would go years, it'd be like a friend from high school, be like a couple years, like, hey, what's up?
Emerson's running the light footprint approach.
Yeah,
I love it.
I got some friends like that. They're stay out of it.
It's changed now. It's changed now because of fantasy football. I do Twitter and stuff. I still don't have like a Facebook. Twitter is my only social media. I have Reddit because of fantasy football too, but no Facebook, no Instagram, none of the rest of the stuff though.
Damn. We got Gary back.
We got some injury updates. James Robinson will play, so that that will damper some Michael Carter stuff. Michael,
are you guys willing to start James Robinson though?
No.
I'm
not willing to, but it definitely Michael Carter is going to be the starter. But could you see James Robinson taking a couple red zone carries from him? Yeah.
He got 5 touches his first week. What do you think? We go over 10 this week? I don't think so.
He'll get more. He'll definitely get more. I mean, with him being hurt, it definitely lowers that. But I mean, Robinson had 2 practices and a walkthrough, and now this week was a full week of practice. But yeah, if you're injured, you don't practice as much. Some deeper plays: Dontrell Hilliard and Rashad White. That's from Michael F. Florio. Any other injury updates?
I'm gonna pull up some props.
Kadarius Toney, he's healthy now that he's
Chief. It's ridiculous, right?
I'm starting.
Yeah,
don't start him. Don't start him.
I pulled the Undertaker gif out whenever he when he got traded. His hamstrings are just fine.
We got Raymond getting a little impatient here in the chat. Answer my question. The passive aggressive question mark.
Yeah, sorry, Raymond.
Or Gabe Davis.
Sorry earlier. Rest of the season PPR. I'm still gonna go Gabe Davis just because of the ceiling, but I understand the concern with Christian Kirk being more of a PPR guy.
Yeah, I have to agree. That's just a much better offense, better quarterback. You know,
I mean,
Bills
I
can put
love
up 40 points any week.
I love the matchup for Kirk this week. I have these guys very close. I know I do. Man, that's a really tough. You know, man, I just think I would probably start Christian Kirk just because I think it's a good week for him. He doesn't have that kind of crazy 180-yard performance maybe in him that Gabriel Davis sometimes randomly does. But if I want my 12 point, I think Christian Kirk is way more likely to get you that 10, 12 PPR points. So I would go with maybe the safer option here.
Well, he says it's for rest of season.
Oh, rest of season. Sorry. Cool.
Yeah, this week I'd probably go Kirk.
I'm still
based
going.
on the
I'm
matchup.
still going Kirk. I just like that floor a little bit better. It's very close for me. I think Kirk's had a rough couple weeks here, but I think he's going to settle in more of that middle range of what he was at the beginning of the season compared to what he has been the last couple weeks. So, and I think that kind of gets started here this week. So, I would have a slight lean toward Kirk, but it's very close.
What do you guys think about Cam Akers starting? I saw Dave put up this update in the chat. We got James Robinson active, Cam Akers active. What do you make of this backfield with the Rams? Are they just trying to? I mean, Ryan Rivers probably dropped everywhere now. That was a fun little thing when it happened, right?
OG man, Kenneth Walker. Don't sleep on Kenneth Walker there.
We're not going to put that in the chat.
As far as the Rams backfield, this is an ugly week, so you may have to. I just got a question from Twitter: was Justice Hill or Tyler Algier? And I'm like, Deion Jackson. But Jackson's not available, and I sent some other options. Dontrell Hillier's not available. It's ugly on the streets. Some people might have to go with Cam Akers, but I would go Henderson over Akers. Henderson last week. Don't play into the Ronnie Rivers stuff. Henderson was sick and had a shoulder injury.
Okay.
So
in my
telling
opinion,
me not to start Henderson.
I'm not starting Henderson. I'm not starting Henderson anywhere.
I'm saying Henderson over Akers. I'm not saying start him. He's like a RB3 for me on a really crappy week.
I've got Allen Robinson in over Henderson.
Yeah,
that's close.
It doesn't. I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about it.
That's a close one.
I think Higbee is a great DFS play this week. He's cheap, 3,700 on PE on DraftKings. We've seen him and Cooper Kupp really eat up the targets. Allen Robinson will definitely see more targets with Cooper Kupp dinged up, but Higbee's been a PPR beast.
We have any update on Van Jefferson? Is he playing today?
They're saying expect him to play.
That's what I don't like about this situation is Van Jefferson and Ben Skoranek just getting in the way.
Yeah, hopefully Van Jefferson eats into Skoranek versus anybody else. Skoranek is just – you see him out there, and a lot of Stafford's turnovers are Skoranek targets. Whether he's running the wrong route or he's
that's how we catch
dropping
props.
The ball, it's if you watch him, Skoranek is just he's a problem.
All right. We're gonna jump into some props. Anyone throw something out there for me. You want passing yards? You want receptions? You want anytime touchdowns? Someone throw something out.
Taysom Hill anytime touchdown.
Oh man!
How about some IDP?
Yeah, throw this guy some tackle questions.
Javen Hargrave, three sacks.
Tackles and assists. I'm gonna pick some here. You asked for it. You're getting it.
Well, I've actually brought some ringers with me.
There we go.
Okay,
that's what I had to do. And how I approach this is I pick out 3 games. I pick out the best options, and I stay ahead of the game this way. Okay. So I'm going to pick on off the top. I'm not going to pick on. I'm going to go with Brisker, man. Yeah. I love this matchup. He's got the number 1 producing Miami to the safety position. It's beautiful. Then you look at the situation with the linebackers in front of them. Morrow is not a slack, but we don't know exactly what kind of person they're going to bring in next to him. So there's actually a bonus there with Brisker up in the box to begin with. Now, the argument could be made for Eddie Jackson too.
So I'm seeing the numbers dead even at 6 tackles, combined for assists or solo. Eddie is at 6+ and Brisker is at 6+, but Brisker is getting -218 to Jackson's -186.
Well, that's kind of sweet because on DraftKings, I'm looking at 6.5 at +110.
Nice. Damn.
So I would, Eddie Jackson is a good backup bet there, but I only push my limit so much. So
Sure.
I don't think you could go wrong with any of them. If I got the two, I'm going Brisker.
Okay.
And looking at some sacks, you've got the Chargers against Falcons. Khalil Mack, I'm going top 10 matchup here with still a top 10 talent. And I think this is another no-brainer. They got him at 0.75 +125, and I'm going to go the over. And I like picking on sacks this year. I've had a lot of success on my sack side. Nick Bosa actually has carried me through this, but the matchups this time around, I'm going this way. So we're going to go Mac over with Atlanta. And then switching down to one more contest, we have Minnesota with the Commanders. And Commanders, man, they're going. You're not only talking a top 3 talent with Daniel Hunter, but you're talking a struggling team that's bounced anywhere around the top 10 and mainly in the top 5 and allowing production off the edge. So in this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Smith and Hunter. I think there's no doubt at least both of them get one apiece, possibly more. So with Hunter on DraftKings, we're at 0.75. He's got to get a sack. This is why sacks are so nice. They either get a sack or they don't. I don't mess with half sacks. I look at it and translate it, trying to look for a full. So if you get a 0.225 or so, basically the guy only has to have his hand on his back to get that half a sack as he goes down to the ground. So it's just look at it as a sack. So this is the favorable one. When it comes to Daniel Hunter and Smith, I don't think Smith will have any problem either because his is only 0.25. So he only needs to have his hand on it as Hunter takes him down. They both got you taken care of. You won, and you don't have to watch the rest of the game. You can go on and watch a game you really want to watch. All right.
Catch the ticket.
Last week I was 3-4. I expect to be 4 for 4 this week.
All right, right on. What about an anytime interception? Any matchups where you see any particular defensive back being able to get a bit more of an advantage than another matchup?
Probably so.
Gary, could you write those in the chat so we could keep track of them?
How about
or Twitter?
The post I just put up before I joined you all again.
Did you send it to me on? Did you send it to me?
I can.
Yeah, send it to me in my DM. When I was looking, I had seen, where was it? There was a big one. The Patriots and the Colts game. I feel like that's a really good one to get in on for an interception. You've got Ellinger, you've got Mac Jones. So some of the names that I saw, Adrian Phillips, Devin McCourty, Jalen Mills, Kenny Moore, Rodney McLeod. I really like Kenny Moore. He's at +700.
Let's have a look. I got to check the numbers.
Numbers.
So cornerback wise, secondary wise, it's kind of screwed a little bit. Let's see. Indianapolis is top 6 when it comes to, at least my information, top 6, top 7 in allowing to the corners. We know that not so much for the safeties. So give me a corner off of New England that's got the highest average is where I'm going to go if I'm going to go there. Which I can find
I just sent you the weather, Bernie. So if you want to, I don't know if you want to pull that up or go through, but we can go through the NFL weather just for
okay. I like it.
Obviously for kickers, but for quarterbacks and things like that, people could be in some tight decisions.
Where did you send it to me?
On Twitter.
I got you.
That's perfect timing, Dave. Give me a minute.
Hey, I'm good at filling dead air.
Yeah, I'm looking shit up.
Yeah, sorry, my wife came and talked to me for a second there. Sebastian was asking about when we're ending as well because he's trying to jump on. Let's see here. And then I was looking for a weather background for my green screen.
MVS or Marshall Jr. and or Hollins. Hey, that one's an easy MVS for me. MVS has had he had a big game last week, and I still expect him. Unless while Kadarius Toney's getting worked in, I still think MVS is going to be the wide receiver 2 for this team. So I like MVS by a long shot there. But Marshall's been intriguing. He's back from the dead after this trade. He got like 9 targets last week, so that was good to see. If he's still been hanging on to him. And Hollins is the second wide receiver over Hunter Renfrow right now. So I mean those are all intriguing options, but I would go with
I do think Hollins is interesting. So if you look at what the Raiders give, what the Jacksonville Jaguars give up, they're really tough against wide receiver ones, and I do think Devontae Adams is going to break that trend, but they give up a lot of big plays to the number 2, and so with Waller trending out, Hollins is a very interesting play. All these are very interesting plays. BJ say so. As we said earlier, may the odds be in your favor, but I'll stick with MVS on this one.
I like it. Weather, Dave, I'm not really seeing anything that's really standing out here. There's one game with wind with the Bears and the Dolphins.
Yeah, I always got to look to Chicago when you look at the weather.
Yeah, but every other game, the winds are pretty low. I'm not really seeing anything as far as there's no rain. We got 3 dome games. I think everything's pretty
Ohio
good.
State Northwestern type game. Did you guys watch that game?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I did. I love it.
They have bad weather, or what was the deal?
Oh yeah, they let's see. I think there was only one score from one direction, and it was because they ran it in. I think if I remember right.
Dodger Swift, is that PPR? Ravi, if that's PPR, it does change things a little bit. But Swift is definitely going to be limited.
I don't like Swift this week. I'm off of him.
Yeah, and I don't like Dobbs this week either. But Swift did get a touchdown last week. He's always good for a big play.
I think you got to go Swift. It just depend on your.
You're gonna kick yourself.
You're gonna kick. Yeah, exactly. I would feel better if somehow Dobbs outscores Swift. I'd be like, okay, But if I started Dobbs and Swift ended up breaking out, I'd be like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, and a point for the first down reception, half PPR. Yeah, I'm still going to go Swift. I said it last week. Even though he got limited work, he still got a touchdown. You're going to regret if you sit Swift, and the floor for Dobbs is pretty low.
Yeah, getting the first down, I like that. You can get a couple extra points just, literally on a couple of carries, grabbing a first. Sit 2, Pittman, Myers, DJ, Lazard. I'm sitting Pittman. I'm starting Lazard. Tough for me between Myers and DJ. I think I lean DJ just based on this matchup.
Yeah, Rob, that's a super tough one. Devontae Parker is going to be out, so Jacoby Myers could see more targets. I'm going to sit Pittman, even though I hate saying that. I'll sit Lazard just because of the injury in case he gets banged up. I'll go DJ Moore and Myers.
Myers is the
but I love Lazard.
Is the kicker? Who am I forgetting? Oh, Jacoby. Duh. Oh, that's spelled wrong. That's why I was like, what? I was like, what? No, but I'm sitting Pittman and Lazard this week. I have Jacoby Myers pretty high in my rankings. I think you can lock him in as a weekly wide receiver 2 these days, with even more upside. And I like DJ Moore as well, getting back with PJ Walker. Pittman is floating in kind of that borderline wide receiver 2 range for me. I think I have him in wide receiver 3 range actually right now. I'm just not that passing offense. It's not, I don't really understand the pivot the same. I guess you got to see what you had, but fantasy weapons certainly preferred Matt Ryan.
We got defensive stream.
You good, Ravi? You good, bro? I don't know if we're an idiot or he's an idiot. I don't know what's going on.
If you run for a first, it's not a first. I don't know.
I don't know if we said something wrong here, but
that's a different sport, I think.
It's a half PPR and point for first down reception. So I think we put that on the screen. And so DeAndre Swift can catch a pass for a first down. So yeah, I don't think
you can get a point for catching a first down, but you can't get a point for running for a first down. Kind of ass backwards league is that? Anyways, OG man, he's
McLaurin
begging.
or Olave?
He's begging.
Olave.
Olave's safer. He's been a safer product all season long. I like what McLaurin's doing the past couple of weeks, but Olave much safer floor. Any update on Landry?
Best streaming would be Vikings defense.
Vikings D. Yeah. Well, I mean, is that you don't think? I mean, I kind of like the Chiefs with the Malik Willis.
I like the Chiefs.
It's a great matchup. I
Yeah.
hate that front seven though.
I'm a Chiefs fan. I get it. I'm not a fan either, but
Yeah.
I think we can light up. I think Malik.
Matter
Willis
of fact, I'm going to be really worried about your rookie DE if he doesn't get his ass in the backfield this game.
Yeah, I
Damn.
mean, I've been disappointed. He hasn't been doing very much. He's been getting a lot of snaps.
It's called too much rookie hype.
Oh,
It's tough on these guys, man. It's tough.
Yeah, and he was a late first round pick, so I didn't expect him to. What's his name? Can you remind me? I'm so bad.
Kolofakis.
Yeah.
Yeah, George Kolofakis.
And I'm a Chiefs fan. I should.
Isn't
know
that the name of that elephant on Sesame Street?
It sounds about right.
I didn't
right?
catch that one.
Yeah.
But no, he's been playing a lot. It's been disappointing. I really want to see our McDuffie get in there, our rookie cornerback who we drafted in the mid first round. I'd like to see him getting. So I'm excited about him. I thought we'd be better. I thought Chris Jones, Frank Clark. Frank Clark has been extremely disappointing. I'm not a fan of Frank Clark at all. But I thought with a restructured, I thought he at least might be worth it. But Nick Bolton hasn't done as much this year as I thought he would. He hasn't been stuffing that stat sheet quite as much.
Well, he's got a little bit more competition because they're giving the second inside linebacker more snaps this year.
Right.
So
I'm gonna take off, guys. I got some lineups to set and some husband duties to take care of.
All right,
Absolutely
later,
appreciate you coming through, sir.
See ya.
have a good one. Yeah.
Next-
the whole.
Next up, go ahead.
No, that's all right, man. It's really not that important. As a Chiefs fan, yeah, man. If you guys just had a defense.
I know it's criminal what we've done to Patrick Mahomes over the years, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah, really. I mean, at their height, you could be even better, a lot better.
I know.
I mean, there's some subpar shit on that front line. Frank Clark, I don't get it.
I'm so done with Frank Clark. Oh my God, he's there. There is nobody who's gotten paid more per tackle or sack in their career. Like he was making $25 million a year last year. Oh my God, it makes me
for
sick.
one sack.
It makes me
was
sick.
It? 2, 3, yeah, right. That's ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean it's and I'm so done with Spagnuolo too, the Chiefs defensive coordinator. He was for people who don't know, he was New York Giants defensive coordinator back in the day for the Super Bowl runs.
I believe the word.
And yeah, I mean it's just been disappointing. Like he has a stretch every year. Like
Right.
the Chiefs defense, they might kick it into gear here in a few weeks, like they always do for 5 or 6 weeks. But just like last year, if you remember correctly, we had a defense from week 10 to week 16 last year. We had a defense, and then that Bengals game at the end of the regular season was the mark. Never was the same after that. But
Yeah, they
We'll see
were
what
playing up to those contests, but I mean, hey, we're gonna lose the crowd. We keep talking about the stepchild.
We got Rob in the chat asking Dion, Devin, Connor, or Pittman in his flex. As long as it's PPR, I like Dion here. I think Devin Singletary's got a little bit of a tougher matchup. You got Connor coming back from injury. Don't love the matchup for Pittman going up against the Patriots with a new quarterback, and wasn't impressed with him through his first week with Ellinger. What do you guys think about this one?
Deion Jackson pretty easily for me. I still have all those guys. Singletary, Connor. I have those guys in that kind of bordering RB2, RB3 range.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Deion Jackson as a solid RB2. So that's for me.
I know you've been liking some Dion, Gary.
Yeah, I mean, off the top, I'd have to probably take Dion, and in the secondary, I'd take Emerson's advice.
All right. Flex, we got Rondell Moore or Khalil Herbert. It's a tough one, but I still probably lean Rondell.
Pass.
Pass. He's like, nope, not touching that one.
I would go with the safe one. Like Rondell Moore's been pretty consistent. I got a consistent target share most of these recent weeks. Khalil Herbert, you just don't know how he's going to it kind of changes every week how he gets kind of worked in behind David Montgomery. I know people hate David Montgomery. I know they feel like Khalil Herbert is more talented, should be getting more work. but these coaching staffs feel differently, just like Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, just like Rashad White and Leonard Fournette. You see the coaching staff kind of sticking with their guys a little bit. So I would take Rondale Moore here.
Okay. All right, let's jump back to some props here. Earlier I was asking you guys just to throw me like a category, and I was going to go after some, so I'm just going to pull some up and start asking you guys. Let's see here. Let's go with receptions. We'll go over under on passing receptions. There we are. Let's look at in particular game here. I'm going to ask you guys about some big receivers. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Waddle's catch total is at 5.5, and it's plus 100. Tyreek Hill 7.5 over under. The over is again plus 110. You guys like those overs?
Man,
Waddle 5.5, Tyreek Hill 7.5.
These are always so tough for me, and I always tell people I'm not like a, as far as gambling goes, I'm not a guy who's got hidden that threshold of making money and whatnot. So, I like Waddle over. I like Waddle over 5.5. That Tyreek Hill one will be a little close, I think. I would probably say take the under there, just because I think this is going to be a little bit more of a Raheem Mostert game, if there ever was going to be, just because I think, Dolphins, Chicago's look at your guys look good, in recent weeks. It's been a little more competitive. I still think, we'll see Miami get off to a couple touchdowns. So I think, you could see them kind of controlling clock here with Raheem Mostert a little bit.
Yeah, the defense definitely needs some, or has lost some life. I was going to say it needs some, but it's just lost. I mean, with Robert Quinn leaving, he was a big locker room favorite. Roquan, franchise favorite. Everybody in the building loved him, let alone the locker room. I mean, the secretary in the accountant's office loved Roquan Smith. I mean, come on, like,
Right.
yeah, it's that defense is going to be taking some bumps, especially up front. Like the Bears defense has a pretty good secondary, but that up front group right now, like, I pray for Jack Sanborn. Just make it out alive, son, please. I agree with you. I'm going the over for Waddle and the under for Hill. Hill's under is paying minus 143. Anything to take away from those picks, Gary?
Well, the first thing that's going to come to my mind is, like, anytime I'm asked anything about IDP prop bets, which you have a certain process to go to. So the first thing I was thinking of was going to check what their average is per game to begin with on the receptions. And then I would look at the matchup strength, points allowed. And then I would decide, but I don't do dirty ho. So with that being said, gentlemen,
did one of us have a more compelling argument than the other?
No.
I mean, we both pretty much agreed. Okay,
No.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
All right. So how about this matchup? We got the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Looking at Lockett and Metcalf. Metcalf is getting a friendly number at 4.5. Lockett is at 5.5. It's kind of tough. I mean, DK Metcalf hasn't had a good run against the Cardinals in recent history. I still feel like he can get over 4.5 catches, though. I feel like that's a pretty friendly number.
Low. That seems low.
And,
to me.
DK Metcalf's a 4.5. What was Tyler Lockett again?
5.5, just to catch more.
Yeah, I mean,
I kind of like the overs for both.
I tend to take the unders usually when I am doing prop bets, but I would feel pretty comfortable with it. Seems I don't know. It seems like a cheat code every week. DK Metcalf and the Seattle offense and Tyler Lockett, they seem to be going a little bit lower than they always should every single week. Whether in any platform, whether it be on DFS, whether it be the projections on a fantasy site, the battle royales that I do, they're always going extra, in the wide receiver, late wide receiver 2 range, which is ridiculous. And then, get prop bets like this. I would tend to leg the over. This is supposed to be a very high scoring matchup. So I think those are pretty safe to take the over there.
I feel pretty good about those numbers. That's why I brought them up. Any disagreement, Gary?
No, not at all. And you can't beat what Smith's done, Geno Smith. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you go to Player Profiler, look up all those advanced statistics that they have. There's nothing you can point to that suggests Geno Smith is, the regression's coming, or he's just not, playing that well. It's just kind of other things, so he's top of the line in every metric.
Yeah, I was going to get a look here at the cornerbacks for Arizona. It's kind of surprising. I just stick with the over. I mean, it just kind of common sense there to me. Just
pretty low numbers, especially. I feel like you're getting a big discount on DK. Between the two, I would still probably lean DK. We got Rob in the chat again asking about tight end and flex spots. Isaiah Likely, Taysom Hill, James Conner, Allen Robinson. It's full point PPR. It's hard for me to start Conner or Robinson. And yeah, I agree with you. With those injuries to the Saints right now, it still feels like Taysom Hill is going to have a role there. But if you're not buying that, if you're scared of his production this week, and I had to dip into one of the other two, I would probably go James Conner just because I feel like there could be a situation where it falls into the end zone. That's it. I'm not that high in Allen Robinson. I said earlier, I'm starting him over Darrell Henderson. It's very, bottom of the barrel stuff.
Yeah, that Taysom Hill is a big, that that's a home run. You're trying to hit a home run there.
Yep.
You're taking a big swing. I would go with Isaiah Likely personally. I've said earlier that I'm a big fan of Likely this week. He is. When I just was doing my, I was just actually updating my rankings while we were on this pod as well, and I have him as the tight end 5 this week, one spot ahead of Taysom Hill. I have Taysom Hill as my tight end. Actually, I moved Taysom Hill 2 spots back, so I have Taysom Hill as my tight end 7, and I have Isaiah Likely as my tight end 5 this week.
Damn, getting up there, Isaiah Likely, getting up there. I love it.
Yeah, I'd like to point something out about we was talking about Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
If memory serves me right, in the past, hasn't Seattle's offensive line sucked, and maybe that might be why Metcalf has struggled.
Or maybe it was because he had a limited quarterback. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know what it was.
Ooh.
I don't know what it was. I know what Geno Smith is, and it's not limited.
You're welcome,
This is
Justin.
This is a 9-time. Like, I've seen it get crazy this week. This is a 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback we're talking about here. Keep that in mind, people. This is like, I've seen people like they talked about Geno Smith has gotten to see what bad, like this one guy posted, he's like, Geno Smith has gotten to see what bad quarterback play is. And he listed all these players, and Russell Wilson was on the list. I was like, dude, like, I get it. But like, all right, this is a Super Bowl champion, 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback. I know he's not playing well, but Russell Wilson was a fantastic quarterback in this league.
What have you done for me lately, man? It
Yeah,
sucks. But
exactly.
That's
crazy.
exactly what you're held to.
He threw Phillip Rivers in there too, and Eli Manning. I was just like, and then he had those guys' names next to like people like who were been third string and out of the league in 2 years. I was like, dude, it's like Phillip Rivers was a really good quarterback. Eli Manning was at times, but Eli Manning too. I was just like, my gosh.
Well, and that's the thing about like being that journeyman quarterback. As long as you have a really good IQ, no matter what, you're watching a ton of film week in and week out. Think of how much tape Geno Smith has watched and all the quarterbacks that he's been tutored under and all of the schemes and all of the coordinators he's gone through. Like, you can pick something up after a while. It's very similar to Marcus Mariota. He's having a good season this year too. Another guy has just a high IQ that went and found a home that would fit for him. Geno Smith obviously did the same.
Well, it's not like the Jets did him any favor when they drafted him.
Well, yeah, they didn't do him any favors, but a lot of teams don't do their quarterbacks favors. I mean, it took 2.5 seasons for the Bears to get a weapon for for Justin Fields in Chase Claypool. If that even comes to fruition, like even if that winds up not being a good or bad trade, they took like really one shot at giving him like, hey, here's a guy, big, he's athletic, it'll work out.
Well, the 2 cornerbacks for Arizona, nothing special about them. So, I'm still stuck on Metcalf. I'm taking that over. I just thought I'd follow that up. So I was talking about it.
I wanted to come back around to touchdowns. I know that there's a matchup that Emerson and I have brought up quite a few times already on this show and on the show that we did on Friday, was that Raiders and Jaguars game. This one feels like a good game to target for an anytime touchdown. Names that I wanted to bring up are Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs, Evan Ingram, Devontae Adams, and Christian Kirk. I mean, I feel like a lot of those guys could find pay dirt, and we just had the doctor jump into the house. We're going to get to him here in a moment as well. What's up, sir?
What's up? How we doing, boys?
Good.
Good.
We're going to go through this anytime touchdown talk here, and then we're going to get into some injuries.
And I'm going to exit left, fellas. Doc, you have a good one. Nice to
Take it
meet
easy,
you.
Gary. We'll see you soon.
Yep. We'll talk next weekend, maybe. If not,
Absolutely. Later.
Absolutely. All right, so Emerson, give me a pick out of this matchup here, because I know that we like a lot of these guys this week. Who would be your most likely or player most likely to find pay dirt this week?
It's always hard for me to wrap my head around, the anytime touchdowns. It's like, man, it's so sporadic and random. I'm just trying to picture, trying to put myself in the game, watching the game. I do like Josh Jacobs, or I like the running backs. I think here too. Those are my first two thoughts: Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs. Those would be my first thoughts. Josh Jacobs had a little bit of a down week last week. Etienne had the exact opposite. He, as we saw James Robinson get traded, he became a got a full workload, bell cow workload. 25 plus opportunities. So I really like the just against some spotty defenses. I really like the running backs here to for the anytime touchdowns.
So Jacobs is at minus 126. Etienne's at minus 143. I like those odds. I also like the Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's getting the plus 210. Love those odds for that juicy matchup. You and I have talked about it a few times. Was it Vegas giving up the third most fantasy points to the tight end position? I like the Evan Ingram pick here. That's where I'm going. Don't hate some of the higher end receivers like Adams. He's at minus 112 for an anytime. And where was Kirk? Kirk is plus 170. That one's a little bit lower because he doesn't feel like that big target in the red zone. All right, good stuff. Doc, appreciate you jumping on with us. Sebastian, we're going to jump into some injury talk here. Of the most recent stuff, what's jumping out at you? Like, what should fantasy owners be most concerned about, at least as far as a last maybe 15 minutes, last half hour development?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the big things is what you're hearing from Monday night coming out of the Ravens with Edwards and Andrews looking like they're both not going to play, right? So hopefully you got this early in the week, but likely at the tight end position, and obviously Kenyon Drake there for the running back position is going to be something that you would like to grab, right? I know I grabbed likely once I saw kind of Andrews was in doubt there. But it's looking like neither of them will play. Another big one is Damian Harris out with an illness, right? So not really an injury, but obviously Ramondre Stevenson is going to have a big day. He might be someone who's likely to find the end zone there, right? And then Darren Waller, again, I know we talked about him last week with that hamstring. It's just they were thinking he's closer than ever is what they said, but they were going to try him out in pregame. He's not ready to go, which is probably better for his long-term health because, likely to kind of re-injure that, right? Aggravate that if he wasn't ready to go. But that's definitely a frustrating one for Waller news. And then I know we talked about Keenan Allen the same way. It looks like he had a setback. So those hamstrings, when you hear a hamstring and you got one of your players got one of those, it's like a red flag. Like I got to start thinking of plan B right now.
Are we going to get?
Sorry
to interrupt you. What are we? I'm just curious for myself here, and I'm sure a lot of other people. What are your latest on Allen Lazard?
Yeah, he's good. He's good to go right now. So they just ruled him active. So he's officially playing.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the Packers actually got some good news. It looks like Elton Jenkins and Bakhtiari and Watson and Lazard are all good to go. So
awesome. I wanted to back up to Gus Edwards and Mark Andrews because I feel like those are important guys right now going forward. Obviously, we've been able to react to Mark Andrews being out. We're picking up Isaiah Likely. Maybe some people picked up Kenyon Drake. But a lot of people, they spent some good amount of fob on Gus Edwards after he boomed after his first week back. Can those owners expect good things from Gus Edwards going forward if he's going to be sitting out this week? Like, do we expect him to bounce back from his injury? And should fantasy owners be concerned about any long-term effects for Mark Andrews just because, he's so pivotal at the tight end position? If you don't got him, you're just picking from the raw group of availability.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start with Edwards. I mean, the scary thing is he was in a great situation with Dobbins on the IR for at least 4 weeks. He'll be back, looks like about 2 weeks now. But with him, with that hamstring injury, it's tough again because like we talked about, that hamstring really, it's one of those things that's very nagging, one of the most burdensome injuries in the league. So you kind of don't know until you know, right? Until you test out that hamstring. So for him, the fact that he had a chance to play this week tells me that it's more on the milder side, which is a good place to start. But as far as productivity and if you're going to be able to rely on him, I don't know about that because with Dobbins coming back, his kind of timeline to really get the bulk of those shares is kind of dwindling. So for him, it's not looking as good. For Andrews, it's tough because he's got that knee injury and the shoulder injury. So that knee that was bothering him for a couple weeks where he kind of put up that dud of a game, it was kind of a hit or miss there with what was going on. And then as far as that shoulder, it's probably like an AC sprain. So that's typically minor injury. So it seems like he's got 2 minor injuries, right? But, the fact that he's got both going on at the same time, probably going to delay that recovery.
Okay.
But I'm more hopeful that Andrews will be back, in the near future and be able to get back to his usual production. As far as Edwards, really the injury mixed with Dobbins coming back kind of hurts him there.
Understood. And then what about another key player, Jonathan Taylor, going to be out this week? Do fantasy owners need to be worried about him down the stretch of this season? Or is this more of just like, we're going to keep him out for a couple weeks. He'll be fine. He's going to be there for your fantasy playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, like last week, or when he initially suffered the injury, I would have said, no, it should be just a week or two and he'll be good. Cause that's that kind of low ankle sprain, right? So that's a very common one. Maybe 1 to 2 weeks to get back. The bad part about that is it was a re-injury. He re-injured it in the game. He was able to finish the game out, but obviously it's bothering him enough to keep him out this week. So that's kind of frustrating. The fact that he's already re-injured it is a little alarming, but the injury itself with that low ankle sprain typically heals up pretty quickly. So he should be good to go, but it's kind of tough with that whole re-injury aspect, right? Because now that he's injured it more, he can be likely to more re-injuries and stuff like that down the line. But I would say, to still have some faith in Taylor. Obviously, if he plays, you gotta roster him.
Okay. What about James Conner coming back this week? Do you feel confident that he's healthy enough to be a reliable fantasy asset on our rosters?
Yeah, obviously, you're gonna have to monitor that one probably up till pregame because I, just saw the notification that he's expected to play with that rib injury, but they're still gonna test him out and see how he goes. And the ribs are tough. Most guys, they'll get that injection before the game, and it's kind of a pain tolerance thing. As far as he's a running back, so he's going to get hit basically every time he touches the ball. I would say confidence level, I'd probably say if he's active, I'd say there's probably like a 75% chance he's able to finish that game, right? Unless something, he gets banged up pretty bad. But I would say, yeah, I've got some confidence in him. Again, I like him around the goal line. He gets a lot of carries there, and I do like what Benjamin was able to do. But I think that injury isn't too damaging for him. He should be able to bounce back from that.
Okay, and then James Robinson, he came up with a late injury designation this week. I know it's his second week with the Jets. Should there be any concern? I mean, obviously there's concern based off of his potential workload, but should there be any health concerns about him?
Yeah, I saw that. And do you actually know what the injury was? I saw he popped on the report yesterday, and that he's active. He's going to play today. So I'm trying to think. Let me see if it was, because I don't know if it was one of those illness things or if that
knee
was
injury.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously we'll kind of have to monitor them. I liked him a lot going over the Jets with Breece Hall going down. I thought he could get some good work. Yeah, I would say that we're going to kind of have to wait and see on how he plays today, unfortunately, because there's not too much information coming out. The fact that he's active, obviously, is good news, right? But if I had him and I kind of had an option I was trying to go between, I'd probably go with the other option right now just to see, right? Let's see how he fits in. I mean, no one really got going for the Jets last week in that backfield, so I'd like to see how he kind of goes with that knee injury specifically and see how much it's hampering him.
Gotcha. And then my last bit, Emerson, if you have anything after this, please add it in. Jamar Chase and Keenan Allen updates. Where are we at with these guys? Any progress reports? No information to be found. Where are we at with those two?
Yeah, the Chase one's still really they're keeping it close to the vest. Everyone, it came out first 4 to 6 weeks, expect him out. Then Zach Taylor said, like, hey, we're not putting him on IR. That doesn't really mean anything, right? I mean, they could just be hoping that as soon as he's ready, they're going to plug him back in. So not a huge update on Jamar Chase, but Keenan Allen actually, that he had a setback, right? So about the worst update that you want on his side, the fact that he's already had multiple setbacks. He has a setback in the bye because, like we were talking about last week, it looks like he gave it a go and he was not ready to go for the game. So yeah, that hamstring injury for Keenan Allen's really going to struggle with him. I don't have much faith in Keenan Allen at all.
Damn.
Yeah, the Keenan Allen news is tough. Definitely tough. Same thing with Waller.
Yeah, I'm going to probably wind up losing out on Keenan Allen and Mike Thomas this season. Great starts they gave me when they played. When
Thomas
they played.
Looks like he's done for the year. Keenan Allen may not be too far behind him.
Unreal. Emerson, any injury questions from you and the dog in the house?
She wanted to come up and say hi. No, I think I can't think of it. You covered them all. Lazard's my big. I have so many Lazard shares. I wanted to make sure I get that in. So I'm stoked to hear he's playing.
Yeah, it looked like he wasn't too worried about it when he got it. It should be a minor, probably AC sprain as well, just a minor shoulder injury for him.
Right. Any players that I didn't bring up that you could think have relevance?
Let me do a quick check here.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Swift, I would say don't expect much out of him today. It kind of already came out that he's going to be on a snap count again. So if you have Jamal Williams, I've had more confidence in him. Obviously, plug him in. We talked about Harris. Stevenson should have a big day. And then Cam Akers, if you have him and you got excited the fact that he's active, I wouldn't be too excited. They already said he's pretty much going to be in a very limited role. We don't know where he's going to be in the game plan. They were obviously trying to trade him pretty hard. So unfortunately for Akers and Swift and Harris owners, not good news there.
I hear you. All right, we are going to jump into some questions, and then we are going to head out for the day. Appreciate everybody in the chat riding along with us, especially our guy Rob here. Been asking a lot of questions. Mostert or Lazard? Lazard was a little bit relevant to the injury conversation. I'm still going Mostert here. It's a very, very good matchup. I think that both can actually find pay dirt this week. Both can score a touchdown, just like Mostert's floor to be a little bit more safe up against a very bad Bears rushing defense.
Yeah, Bears 31st ranked in rush defense. I'll be taking, Miami could get out to an early lead, try to control the game through the running. So I will go with him as well.
Yep, like that. Yeah, absolutely. Running back's a little bit safer play there. Packers offense.
Yep. Sit one. I can already tell you it's Swift. I saw the first name. From what Sebastian just shared, what I've already, the sentiments I've already given on the show today through 2 hours. I'm not on Swift this week. Sebastian's backing me on that, it sounds. What do you think about here? Or what do you think about this one, Emerson?
Yeah, I mean, I have Swift, kind of that teeter RB kind of 20 to 24 right now. So I would lean the other two. I have Jamal Williams a little above him as RB like 17 or 18. So I would lean Jamal Williams.
We got Dick Henderson in the chat, Rondell Moore or Khalil Herbert. Did we get that one earlier? I feel like I already answered Rondell Moore on that question, but I think it was a different person.
Maybe it was I think it was a different person, but yeah, we said Rondell Moore. Still feel like it's Rondell Moore.
You agree with that, Sebastian?
Yeah, I mean, Moore's tough just because he's so hit or miss sometimes, and that Miami rush defense isn't great. But I don't think the Bears are going to have a lot of success today overall. So I don't know how many run opportunities that's going to lean. So I'll agree there.
All right. And then we got Trey. This will probably be the last one here unless someone sneaks one in. We've got sit one. Juju, Boyd, Palmer. Ooh, that's tough. Is it Juju, Emerson? Can you say that with confidence?
I would say it's really close between Palmer and Juju. I have Juju a little bit Palmer has a really safe floor this week, just being like the only really super healthy option for the Chargers wide receivers.
And the matchup is great for both of them.
Matchup's really good. So, and it's really close. I think, I would probably sit Juju. It's close.
I got to agree.
Juju.
Yeah.
I got to agree.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, look, Boyd and Palmer's missing his wide receiver 1 and 2, so he bumps up. Boyd's missing Chase, so they're looking for answers. And the Chiefs, I mean, especially if Tannehill can't play, which, I mean, if he plays, he's not going to be very mobile. I think they could roll, and they really aren't going to have to throw that much. So,
yeah, I'm with it. All right. Been a very long one and a good one. Emerson, appreciate you riding along the entire way. Sebastian, appreciate you coming on here to talk some injuries. Guys, we'll be back every week. As you saw, we brought on our specialists. We've got, Sebastian talking injuries. We had Gary doing IDP, Emerson and Dave talking some dynasty, and Emerson with battle royales and starting sits and trades all along the way. So come back next Sunday. Come ride with us. We're going to have some good stuff for you for the rest of the season. We will be giving away the Deebo Samuel jersey this evening, so you still have some time to comment on a video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and send those completed steps to our Twitter account at SGPN Fantasy. Sebastian, let everybody know where they can find you. Emerson, do the same. I want to take it off the screen so they can actually see those as well.
Go ahead, Sebastian.
Yeah, for sure. So, on Twitter, same right there at SGPN Football Doc. That's going to be the best way to get your quickest up-to-date injury news. And then, as always, on sportsgamblingpodcast.com, I'm putting out an injury report every week. So go ahead and find me there.
Yeah, and my Twitter handle is the Dynasty _analyst. I do weekly articles for SGPN, 5 Yard Rush, and the Fantasy Coaches Podcast. We do rankings updates every Tuesday. We do an underdog. I do an underdog show every Friday morning with random guests, talking that week's underdog battle royale slate, maybe some best ball updates and things like that. So that's where you can find some of my stuff.
Yep. And you can find me at SGPNJB on Twitter. You can find all of our content at SGPN Fantasy. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys riding with us. Take care. Be well, be good. If you can't be good, be a super dog. We'll see you.
Thanks a lot.